Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Council for the Town of Petawawa to order for April 20th, 2026. Welcome to members of Council, staff, and our special guests here this evening. We'll begin this evening's meeting with the reading of the land acknowledgement, and this evening it's Councillor Carney.
Thank you for your service. As we gather this evening, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Petawawa Town Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Omamiwanini Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Omamiwanini people and express our respect and support for their rich history. And we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, and we wish to acknowledge our shared responsibilities in responding to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission 94 calls to action. Calls to action number 93. We call upon the federal government in collaboration with the national Aboriginal organizations to revise the information kit for newcomers to Canada and its citizenship test to reflect a more inclusive history of the diverse Aboriginal peoples of Canada, including information about the treaties and the history of residential schools.
Thank you. And now I'd ask everyone in attendance if they would please rise and join me for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. I need an approval for this evening's agenda. Moved by Councillor Root, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the agenda for the April 20th, 2026 regular meeting of Council be adopted as presented. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest on any of this evening's matters? Seeing none, we'll go to some minutes. We have minutes for the council meeting of April 7th, 2026. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, I can see you. Seconded by Councillor Coutu, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held April 7th, 2026 be approved as printed and circulated. Are there any questions, comments on the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. And now we'll go to this evening's presentation. We have with us Megan Sutherland, the Business Development Officer of Renfrew County Community Futures Development Corporation. We're happy to have you here to give us an update on everything that's going on at the Renfrew County Community Futures Development Corporation. The floor is yours.
Thank you. All right, I'll just wait for the presentation to come up. Oh, yeah. Excellent. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Mayor and Council, thank you for having us here today. As mentioned, my name is Megan Sutherland. I'm the Business Development Officer for Renfrew County Community Futures. I've been with the corporation just over a year now, and was on the board previously for 3 years prior to that. So who are we? Well, number one, we appreciate the opportunity to be here and share a brief overview of who we are, what we do, how we support businesses and communities across Renfrew County. So RCC FDC is part of the Community Futures Network program, a national network funded by the Government of Canada, so we're federally funded. There are 267 different community futures offices across Canada, and there are 60 in Ontario, and we are considered to be the eastern side of Ontario. So we are focused on developing local solutions for local economies. Here in Renfrew County, we've been doing the work since 1986. So I've been around 43 years, so you do the math. Supporting businesses, employment, and community economic development for almost 40 decades. Okay, so our role and our mandate, our core at our CFDC is basically designed to support business, enterprises, community-based economic development, and employment growth is a large component of what we focus on. We do this through a combination of financing, business counseling, and community economic development initiatives tailored specifically to meet the needs of Brantford County. Our work is driven locally, and decisions are made locally, which allow us to be responsive to the realities of rural communities and small town businesses. Briefly, my background, I'm a 20-year banker. So I was a bank manager prior to joining. I can tell you right now, every loan that we've done in the past 13 months, I would have declined in my previous life. So we put about $2.4 million into the community across Brantford County just last year alone. 70% of them being startups. Okay, so the small business financing is one of our primary functions of what we do, and that's what I do. So we can provide loans up to $300,000 to support viable business ventures. We encourage clients to explore traditional banking first, but where banking financing is not available or doesn't fully meet their needs, this is where we can fill the gaps. So our financing can support equipment and machinery purchases, real estate acquisitions, business expansions, working capital startup costs. So since inception of our loan program, we've advanced just shy of $50 million into our local communities across Brantford County. We've leveraged close to $44 million in additional financing and helped created 5,500 plus jobs across Brantford County, just as a quick snippet of the impact a very small team of 4 can do. These numbers reflect not just the lending activity, but the broader economic impact of supporting local entrepreneurs. Okay, so what makes us different? There are a few key things that differentiate us from traditional financing. So first, our loan applications are reviewed and approved locally. So we have a volunteer board of directors who make the final decision and approval on all of our loan programs. What's really unique about this is that you have people who are working and living in our communities that have a true understanding to the challenges that people face. In traditional banking, not to knock it because there is certainly a place for it, you're dealing with underwriters who are in Toronto, who are in urban situations, who don't understand how rural economies function. I laugh about certain files. We used to do a lot of construction financing and people would mill wood off of their own properties and people in Toronto just could not grasp the concept of that actually happening, right? So this is where dealing with local people they get that, which is really important. And our board is a combination of local entrepreneurs themselves, plus some of them are with the city or they're with D&D. So you have people who are right in their direct community, which is pretty cool. So community economic development. So this piece is taken care by mostly Cindy, who is our executive director, as well as Michelle Gagne. She is another new employee who's been here about 4 months longer than me. And so beyond the individual businesses, we're actively involved in community economic development. So we work alongside with municipal leaders such as yourselves, community organizations, and other key stakeholders. So we develop community economic development plans, support value-added activity, encourage diversification and expansion into new sectors. Our goal is to strengthen the overall economic resilience of the county, not just individual enterprises. And business counseling support. So in addition to the financing, we offer business counseling support services. So they're one-on-one business advisory services. We do workshops and seminars, and we do referrals to partner organizations that specialize in certain support areas. A real key partner for us is the County of Brantford. We do a lot of partnership with them through their Enterprise Brantford County component. So these services are available to small and medium-sized businesses throughout Brantford County and are designed to help entrepreneurs build strong, sustainable operations. Something I really want to point out on this is the business advisory services is 100% free. There is no cost involved. It is part of our mandate, and this is one of the reasons why I love what I do. is that for once in 20 years, I don't have to chase you as a dollar. You're an actual person who has an actual issue or a goal in the community, and my job is to spend time with you happily to see that come to light, which is really, really awesome. So I would say 60% of my time is spent just in counseling alone. Oh, that's a pretty team picture. So in closing, we're here as a partner for businesses, for municipalities, and for the broader community. We welcome referrals, collaboration, opportunities to work together to support economic growth locally. Our contact information is included. If you're interested in any of our services, want to have a conversation, if you're a business owner yourself, we'd happily have a conversation or even just get to know you. You never know who we could refer your way. Again, I'd like to thank you for your time this evening, and I'm happy to address any questions you may have.
Well, thank you very much, Megan. I learned a lot in just a short period of time. That's good. I'll open it up to members of council for questions. No? Well, I'll start everything. I have a few. So if you're a small or medium-sized business, can you access a loan at a bank, and then feeling that that's not enough to get me going, can you also access a loan from your organization as well?
Yes, so we can do both. In fact, we've had, I find especially in the startup space, we're the only ones they can go to, but we definitely have established businesses that are bankable at this point, but choose to do business with us because they prefer it. We can do combination partnership as well. So often we partner with EDC or with other traditional financiers. So they have a gap of funding, and so we come in and fill that gap.
And you mentioned the board of directors. I was just wondering how many people sit on that? Do you need any particular qualifications, and where do you advertise that we need new members? Just for members of the public to understand.
Yeah. That's timely. We're actually recruiting right now for our board. So if you know anyone who's looking to get involved from a community standpoint on a broader scale, we certainly need quality people. As far as, I think word of mouth has been, I was referred in by a pre-existing board member. I find that direct contact with the community is where you get your best people, whether that be business or directors, right? We want people who have an understanding to business. You don't need to be a financier, but we certainly want you to have an understanding of what's happening in our local community. And we absolutely welcome people who run their own businesses because they have a unique insight as to what it takes to do that.
And just a question about interest rates. Are you offer your loans at the standard interest rates, or are there any differences between you and the bank?
The question. Yeah, so interest rates is the first question everyone asks. So how we base our interest rates is on an interest rate matrix. So there is no set rate per individual. We start at prime +2, and it is a fixed rate. So the 2% is just based off of the fluctuation with prime. It's not a variable rate. We see averaging right now is usually between 7.5% to 8%. We did just recently finalize a program that was running for a few, 7 months, which was the Can Trade program. And so this was in response to what was happening from the tariff and economic standpoint with that. And so we were offering financing as low as prime. So there are specialized programs that we still do have where we do offer special pricing on those.
And one final question on your locations. Is it just one location, or you don't have offshoots anywhere else in the county?
Yeah. So we did have an office in Renfrew, which we just recently closed down. So we are now fully operational out of the Pembroke Business Center, and that is our main hub outside of working hybrid. We do work from home as well.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Are there, Councillor Cookie?
Thank you, Mayor Service. Thank you very much for the presentation. Just a quick question. I was looking at your offering to support community economic development plans. I'm wondering, would you be available to discuss, for example, a plan for social return on investment those kind of ethical procurement policies?
It's a great question, and 100%. Partnership is our key role, regardless of what it is, whether it be on the financing side or on the community economic development side. What I would recommend that you do is you can reach out to any of us, quite honestly, and we'll get you where you need to go. But that would be primarily Cindy and Michelle who tackle that area. You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, thanks again, Megan, for coming and giving us this update. It's always good to hear from all of our local associations and find out what they're doing and what they can offer to our community. I especially like the part about the free advice that you offer to small and medium businesses, and the fact that you're making loans accessible to some of our entrepreneurs. So I think that's fantastic. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And thanks again for coming.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go right into bylaws. First up, I have bylaw 1828/26, being a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation and charges for waste management services for the year 2026. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Root, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that bylaw 1828/26, being a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation and charges for waste management services for the year 2026, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1828/26, being a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation and charges for waste management services for the year 2026. Be read a first and second time this 20th day of April 2026.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1828/26. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1828/26 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions, comments on the bylaw? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1828/26, being a bylaw to establish the rates of taxation and charges for waste management services for the year 2026, be read a third time and passed. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1828/26, this 20th day of April 2026.
Next, we have bylaw 1829/26, being a bylaw to set 2026 compensation rates for members of the Town of Petawawa Volunteer Fire Department. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1829/26, being a bylaw to set 2026 compensation rates for members of the Town of Petawawa Volunteer Fire Department, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1829/26, being a bylaw to set 2026 compensation rates for members of the Town of Petawawa Volunteer Fire Department, be read a first and second time this 20th day of April 2026.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1829/26. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Roots, that bylaw 1829/26 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions, comments on the bylaw? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1829/26, being a bylaw to set 2026 compensation rates for members of the Town of Petawawa Volunteer Fire Department, be read a third time and passed. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1829/26, this 20th day of April 2026.
Okay, we'll go to correspondence. We have a letter here from Craig Baird from Canadian History. I'm going to say AX. I don't know. It's EHX. Canadian History AX. There's a offer here to produce a video for the Town of Petawawa, and it's called Telling Your Story, a community history video partnership. So for $500, this individual will visit the town and interview people, take video, really come in and take a look at the history of the town. And then the video will highlight our history, heritage, and the ways we preserve it for the future generations. So it celebrates our local history, but it also serves as a lasting, shareable promotion for your community. And the video is anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes. Now, he's got a whole bunch of social media platforms. What I'm not sure of is if he's produced any like this already, and if there's any samples, but I'll open it up to council for questions or comments. Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I'd be interested to get Colin's opinion on this. This reminds me of the similar engagement we had with the influencer who came to Petawawa for a quick visit. I think we have some budget for this kind of enterprise. I'm just wondering if Colin might have more insight into whether this would be a good way to go, given the other ways that he's been putting his efforts to get Petawawa's name out there.
Okay, good question, good comment. I think there is, the funding can be made available through our MAP tax in Renfrew County, the OBTA. So that is one possible source of funding. Any other questions or comments? So I guess what we're looking to discuss or decide upon here is, do we just want to go ahead with this, or do you think we should have staff take a closer look and bring a little report to us? Councillor Kerman.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Probably a good idea to look into it a little bit at least, because there's not even any indication here of other communities that this has services been offered to or been done for or anything. Normally somebody would have a little, list of other clients.
Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would totally agree with Councillor Carmondale on that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so, sorry. Oh, I keep forgetting to look on the screen. Deputy Mayor Savin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a good idea to take it back to the staff. I know that Christine has done a number of initiatives, and with Colin looking at how we market the town, I think getting their perspectives, they may have other ideas, and I think we would set a bit of a precedent that I'm not comfortable with if we just received a letter and then embarked upon an outcome without doing our due diligence. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks for all the comments, everybody. I think, what I'm hearing is that it's important that we let staff take a further dive into this and come back with a little more of a fulsome report, and perhaps find us some samples of what may have been done in other communities. I do like the fact that perhaps the OBTA could fund this for us. I don't want to call that free money, but it's money that's set aside to promote the town. Okay, so we have a resolution here that is directing Recreation, Culture, and Tourism staff to explore this a little further and bring us back a report. So if you're comfortable, I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that council direct staff from Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Department to explore the request from Craig Baird to produce a dedicated feature video and determine if the request is feasible, or if it would be a duplication of work that internal town staff is already participating in. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, next we have a budget from the Pembroke and Area Airport Commission. So I'm assuming everybody had a chance to look over the budget that was presented by the airport. I'm not going to go through it line by line, but are there any questions? Perhaps maybe Councillor Roots could be available to answer anything or give us a summary. We'll go to Councillor Roots first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, they're just looking for support for the 2026 budget. Just the normal practice, and if there is any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer them or to get you the answer. Thank you.
Just before I open it up for questions, I will let you know that I did ask a question and received an answer. So if you look at line 4080, it says land lease. You'll notice in the 2026 budget that it's considerably higher than past years at $35,000. So the reason for that huge increase is a lease of land by Ontario Highway to store some things for a big construction project.
Yes.
Are there any other questions? for Councilor Roots. Oh, Deputy Mayor Sabri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor Roots. Just if you could just remind me what the loan repayment is in regards to, if you can, please. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Okay, I said through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Roots, just wondering if he could remind me what the loan repayment under 5955, pardon me, is in regards to, if he can.
That could be the last remaining for the hangar. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or comments? There was also a separate page there that indicates the different portions of payments from the various owner municipalities as well. And you'll see that town of Petawawa pays the highest percentage based on total assessment, $37,135.01. Any other questions on that? Okay, I need a motion then to accept the budget as presented. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that council approves the 2026 Pembroke and Area Airport Commission budget as presented, and that council approves the town of Petawawa's portion of the budget in the amount of $37,135.01. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Now we have some minutes that need approval. Minutes from the council and committee meeting of April 13th, 2026. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held on April 13th, 2026 be accepted by council, and that resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council. Questions or comments on the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Ottawa Valley Waste Management Board meeting of January 29th, 2026. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the minutes of the Ottawa Valley Waste Management Board meeting held on January 29th, 2026 be adopted as information. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have spoken to these minutes and briefed all council, including yourself. But if there is any questions, I'd be more glad to take them. Thank you.
Questions on the minutes of the Ottawa Valley Waste Recovery Center? Okay, I see none. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, now we're on to staff reports. First up, LEG-07-2026, the election accessibility plan. Kate, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, council. You'll see before you my report for our accessibility plan for this year's election. Not much has changed since 2022, so we just used that year's plan and updated it with a few minor changes. We're using votes again, so their assistive technology is it meets the WCAG level AA 2.1 accessibility standard. And with this year's election, we're using the telephone and internet voting platform. The only other change that we listed was just with our new municipal website. It's a lot more accessible than the previous one. So there's a lot more options that our voters can use for different like browsing profiles. So we have like assistive navigation mode, color blindness adjustments, visually impaired, and cognitive disability mode. So there's a ton more options this year. So a lot more accessible for all of our elections communications. The plan was reviewed again by the accessibility committee. I don't think they had very many comments or adjustments to it. So other than that, everything is still the same from 2022 election.
Okay, and I guess the biggest difference now is that there won't be any ballots in this election, but maybe you could remind the viewing public anyways that if they do want to vote in person, just about what we're gonna have available here at Town Hall.
Yeah, so we are gonna set up here in the chambers. We're thinking 2 voting stations, possibly 3. We still have to work out the spacing of our new desk system. So we'll have some laptops here for them to use, so they can use the keypad if they need to use the keypads. There'll be mouses, and then I think we were contemplating setting up a phone station in Dawn's office because it's more private and it's within the chambers. The building's already accessible from this end, so, and we have universal washrooms too, which is a bonus. So I think once we kind of figure out how many stations we can fit in the chambers here, then we can go ahead and do that assessment. At the end of the plan, you'll see that step-by-step assessment of the building. So we'll run through that before the election.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments from members of council? Okay, if you're happy then, I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Coutu, second by Councillor Carmody. The council approves the election accessibility plan as presented. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Next, we have LEG-08-2026, proposed council meeting schedule follow-up. Don, here we go. See how our proposal has functioned so far.
Okay. So with the absence of Councillor Driscoll, we do have a little dilemma to review first before I even go more into the report. So although not legislatively required, I had requested that there be unanimous approval from all members of council to support a change to our meeting schedule and that a decision be made by May 1st prior to the opening of nominations for the municipal election. So again, due to the absence of Councillor Driscoll, not all members are in attendance. Council has the option of tabling this report to the next meeting on May 4th. Which is the first meeting following the opening of nominations. But again, all 7 members would need to be present. Another item to consider is that although Councillor Driscoll has expressed to staff that he is supportive of the meeting reduction or the proposed reduced meeting schedule, I should say, proxy voting is not permitted at the council table. So if council does wish to proceed with the vote this evening, I would recommend or request that council adopt a motion to the effect that a unanimous vote of those members of council present at the meeting and voting to be sufficient to alter the meeting schedule. If Councillor Driscoll does not support the motion, he may introduce a motion to reconsider the vote at the next meeting. And then lastly, if there's a member or more than 1 member this evening who does not support altering the meeting schedule, then our previous options are moot. So I will leave that to you to decide if you wish to table or proceed with the report.
Okay, so I guess just in order to carry on from this point, we have to consider the 2 resolutions that Don has suggested. The first one is that because of Councillor Driscoll's absence, we could, if we want to table this legislation until the May 4th meeting and then hope that all 7 of us are there at that one and try and discuss this again. Or what we can do this evening is pass a resolution that says we are comfortable with a unanimous vote with the 6 of us who are here. And you heard what Don said, that even though Councillor Driscoll has expressed support for these resolutions, he's not here and we can't use a proxy vote for him. But what we could do is decide that the 6 of us will vote on this issue this evening, and if Councillor Driscoll is against it, he can make a written motion or notice.
Notice a motion to consider.
And then we can go from there. So I'll open it up for comments and questions. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just my thoughts, I think we go ahead and since Councillor Driscoll has basically said that he's in favor of, and if he has that option, I think that this, with our committee here this evening, go ahead and move it. Thank you.
Councillor Carmody?
Thank you, Mayor Service. I would, the same thing. I support what Bruce said.
I've seen some nods there. Councillor Coutu?
Mayor Service, just to thank John for that very elegant solution.
Okay, so I guess you want me to put that resolution forward first before we continue on?
Yes, the unanimous vote of members of council present at this evening's meeting and voting is sufficient to alter the meeting schedule.
Okay, so you've heard the resolution. If you're comfortable, I need a motion. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that a unanimous vote of those members of council present at this evening's meeting and voting is sufficient to alter the meeting schedule. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, then we can move on to the next order of business.
No, you still have to make a decision.
That's what I mean.
Okay, oh, sorry, I thought you were.
Yours would be your next order of business. Chris, you threw Don off.
Sorry.
So at our January 26th meeting, council decided to do a pilot project to have 3 meetings for March and April, beginning at 6 p.m. instead of 6:30. And also that we consider reducing the meeting schedule in July and August from 3 meetings to 2. Now, just so council again is aware that our procedural bylaw does already allow for us to reduce our meeting schedules in June, July, and August to just 1 meeting per month. So if we are going to change the meeting schedule, I also have a separate motion for council to approve a 2026 summer meeting schedule, which we would normally have done in May. Typically every year is to set our summer meeting schedule so everyone is aware and to accommodate council and staff vacations. So during March and April, our longest meeting we had was 3 hours and our shortest was 1 hour and 10 minutes. So it was kind of nice to get out here at 9:02 as opposed to 9:32, which I hope council was appreciative as well. I looked at our public engagement, and at our March 9th meeting, we had 1 member of the public attend. March 16th, we had 2. At the April 7th meeting, we had a large attendance, mostly for the volleyball presentation, and 1 member of the public for the rest of the meeting, and no public attendance on the 13th, and no in-person media attendance at either meeting. We do, again, have our viewership on YouTube after the meetings, which, again, supported my previous report for public engagement. So options for councillor consideration is staff is looking for direction should we make the pilot project meeting schedule permanent, meaning 3 meetings per month starting at 6 p.m. or another time preferred by council. Option 2 would be status quo, meaning we would revert to our previous meeting schedule, which is 4 meetings per month starting at 6:30. The proposed summer meeting schedule would be Monday, July 13th, council, July 20th, committee, August 10th, council, and August 17th, committee, starting at 6 p.m. That council, again, can change that time. And as also a special meeting of council can be called to adopt any time-sensitive bylaws, such as transfer payment agreements or land sale purchases, or to host a public meeting under the Planning Act. Once staff does receive direction from council, our procedural bylaw would then need to be amended if we are to alter the schedule.
Okay, thanks, Don. I'll open it up to council for questions or comments. I guess we can comment on all. Or do you want to just do the proposed meeting reduction and then we'll deal with the summer one as a separate? Okay. So we'll comment or questions on the proposed meeting schedule change. Deputy Mayor Sadler?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to get some feedback. First of all, I guess thank you very much, Don, for all of the information that you've provided to us here. I think what I would like to do is I would like to get a little bit of feedback from the staff team in regards to how that has affected your productivity in the workplace. I know that there's an awful lot of work that goes into preparing agendas, gathering information, and presenting packages for our review and decisions. And I just hope that the reduction by at least one meeting a month has allowed you to focus on other areas of your workload that need your attention. And I think that, to me, that's probably, for my decision making, the most important piece is the productivity piece. So if there's any feedback that you've got in regards to how that's facilitated your productivity in other areas of your job, I'd be open to hearing that. Thank you.
We do have 4 members of the leadership team here. We have the CAO, Director of Public Works, our clerk, and our Director of Finance as well. So we have 4 qualified people to answer your question. Don, you're going to start?
Very well. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Sabrin. For myself, I have this little thing called a municipal election that I'm trying to prepare for. So having that extra week, and in March, having the extra 2 weeks really helped me put a dent into my clerk's policies and procedures, which I hadn't had the opportunity to focus onto. I also do support other committees such as our OPP Detachment Board as well. So again, providing research for that board, and again, preparing our year-end report to come forward in May to council.
The CAO is going to weigh in.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Through you to council, I support what Don just echoed, and I will add, it gives staff, if I can speak really for the staff that report to me, it does give staff the opportunity to not have to worry about agenda or reports coming out, even if it's the 1 week of a month. And as Don said, there's, I think, 3 months in a calendar year that has 5 weeks in it. So that gives you the 2 weeks of a time to catch your breath and allows you to take some time off. Like, for example, this week alone, my daughter's moving back from university, and I like to take off Thursday and Friday to go get her. And I can do that by not having to work at approving the agenda and get it out, because we wouldn't have a meeting next week. So for those things, it does give staff that flexibility. And I think it is important for us to have some of that healthy work-life balance, as well as some time to catch up on emails and do other things that sometimes it is hard to do when you're always in an agenda mode and approving agendas. So very good question, Deputy Mayor Sabrin, and thank you for raising that.
Would Chris or Megan like to offer any insight?
I like the way we're doing it. I think it works fine for me. No concerns.
Okay.
It's all good.
Megan?
I mean, I'd echo what Don and Colin already said.
Okay. Perfect. And I guess to add on to the top of that, we were also cognizant of the time change from 6:30 to 6, reducing overtime, but as well, if there's one meeting less a month, have we got any statistics on how that has affected staff overtime in that short 2-month period? Or maybe even just a ballpark idea?
For those staff that would stay at work in between meetings, you're typically would be 2 hours per evening times maybe 3 or 4 staff. Now it's an hour, because then you're traveling, like for Chris, like you'd be traveling from Public Works to be here for 6 as opposed to 6:30. So maybe an hour times 3 times per month, or 2 times per month, which for yourself.
Thanks. Other questions? Councillor Kuzoo?
Thank you. For me, when I was reading financial implications, that's really what sold it to me, hearing that it'll have an impact on morale, but also reduce sick time associated with, getting that work-life balance. For me, this is hearsay, but I spoke with Melanie, our town planner, about whether this would have an impact on the planning department, because I know there's a high volume of reports from her department, and she said to me that, no, it was fine. This meeting schedule is working for her. She's getting everything in her files accomplished. So, and then from my end, I was maybe worried about backlogs of decisions or extraordinarily long meetings, and that hasn't been the experience. So for myself, I can accommodate this. I would support this. I'm glad to hear it's helping staff. For sure, this would be quite a grind. So anything we can do to help it. Thank you.
Any other questions, Councillor Kerman?
Thank you, Mayor Service. I'll support this as well. I was a little concerned about the length of the committee meetings, and I suspect there might be some long ones in the future, but it's a little bit of give and take, so I'll support it.
Any further questions or comments? I think Councillor Coutu really hit the nail on the head there in terms of work-life balance, staff productivity. I think by meeting 4 times a month, it was onerous, I guess, on all the reports, and every week having to plan your week around doing agendas, writing reports, week after week after week, unless you came to one of those 3 months that had the 5 Mondays. We also talked about, in length, about holidays, and by eliminating 1 Monday a month, it allows staff to take a holiday and not miss a meeting. I know when I organized my holiday, I organized it so I would only miss 1 meeting, and it just happened to be on the last week of March. So I was able to go on holidays for 10 days and not miss a meeting, which I think is important even to the council's work-life balance. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, and I'm hoping that, I know it's only 2 months, but I'm hoping we see even more returns, as you said, in terms of time off, because of stress and work overload. So I think it's good all around. So are we just going on the resolution for the meeting schedule and then a separate one for the summer, okay? Okay. So I guess now we'll deal with the resolution for the meeting schedule change. So if everybody's comfortable, I need a motion for that one. Moved by Councillor Root, seconded by Councillor Donovan. The council reduces its meeting schedule from 4 meetings per month to 3 meetings per month on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Monday, with the start time being moved from 6:30 to 6 p.m., and that this change to the meeting schedule be effective immediately, and that the procedural bylaw be amended accordingly. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. And the second resolution is about the summer meeting schedule. So what's being proposed for the summer of 2026 is 2 meetings per month, 2 in July, 2 in August, as opposed to what we used to do in the past, which was 3 and 3. And we've also proposed to move the meetings away from the 2 holiday weekends, Canada Day and the August long weekend, so that the 2 meetings would be Monday, July 12th, Monday, July 20th, and in August, Monday, August 10th, and Monday, August 17th. Again, at 6 p.m.
July 15th.
What did I say? I don't know why I said that. July 13th. There is a bunch of twos on the page. Any questions or comments about the summer schedule? Again, I think it's important. It's the summer. We still want to be productive, but I think as we've shown in the past, you can get everything you need done in the 2 meetings. And if, as Don said, if we need something pushed through in a hurry, we can call a special meeting. Okay, so if we're any questions, comments on that?
Need a mover in a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're comfortable, I need a mover in a second. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody. The council approves the 2026 summer meeting schedule as follows. Monday, July 13th, 2026, council at 6 p.m. Monday, July 20th, 2026, committee at 6 p.m. Monday, August 10th, 2026, council at 6 p.m. Monday, August 17th, 2026, committee at 6 p.m. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. There we go. Our trial worked, I guess. Thank you very much, Don, for putting that report together. And We'll move on to PW-11-2026, award of tender PW-06-2026, the rehabilitation of Portage Road, Phase 3. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor Service, members of council. My apologies, Don, for interrupting your reports. I don't know why. I thought it was my time to come up there. Very eager, apparently. Anyways, yeah, staff are recommending the council approves the award of tender PW-06-2025, the rehabilitation of Portage Road Phase 3 to the lowest bidder, being GP Splinter Forest Products Limited, in the amount of $1,579,200. And the council approves an additional $170,000 for design, construction phase services, and post-construction phase services. And the council approves a 15% contingency in the amount of $236,880 for a total project cost of $1,986,080, excluding HST. The tender was prepared and advertised on our website, social media pages. 11 general contractors picked up the tender documents, and 5 bids were received on the closing date of April 7th, 2026 at 10 a.m. The bids are summarized in your chart below. As well, in the report, I provided a scope of work for the Portage Road Phase 3, which extends from Murphy Road to Dustin Drive. The project involves earth excavation, pulverizing of existing asphalt, granular base enhancements, culvert replacements, paving, replacements to guide rail systems, brush pavement markings, landscape restoration. As well, we have paved shoulders and an extension of the multi-use pathway from Dustin Drive to Constant Street. The project, as you saw, involves 15% contingency, which is higher than the typical 10% that we usually use on a project of this similar scope. That's tied to global oil prices, which have increased drastically and may increase further. So within the contract, we have a fuel price cost adjustment, and the contingency may be needed to offset some of those cost fluctuations. However, it is my hope that things are stabilizing, and of course, it is my intention to not use all the contingency. As far as financials, the estimated construction budget for this project was $2,137,000, excluding HST, and was included in the approved 2026 budget. And one other item I wanted to add was a discussion with staff. We intend on purchasing and installing a speed display device at the multi-use pathway, where it would start at Constance to advise traffic as they're coming into town, their current speed, when they're approaching the town center, and hopefully slow the trucks down as they come into town. So it was Teddy Suko's idea. I thought it was a great idea. So mention that as well. We'll include that as part of the construction. Happy to take questions.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Nice to see our first big project coming in under budget.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And hopefully I know that there's a lot of instability in the world right now, but it seems like oil prices have dropped down to about $90 a barrel now. So the gas prices have not followed suit. It's funny how that works. They jump up pretty fast, but they take a long time to readjust. So hopefully we don't have to, in the best case scenario, we wouldn't have to use any of that contingency. And then we're well under budget. I love the idea of the speed reduction signage there, and that's a 60 going to a 50, right? Portage Road?
Portage Road is a 50.
Oh, it is a 50?
Yes, yeah. But the, so the lane width when you're coming from Murphy is 3.5 meters. But when you reach the start of the multi-use pathway, the lane width narrows to 3.25. So having that speed sign will also, there's a natural traffic calming there with your vision seeing the lane width narrow, and as well with the speed device there, it'll help with the truck traffic to slow them down as they're coming into town.
Perfect, and I love them up being extended to the other entrance to the subdivision. That's good. And the paved shoulder is going to be the standard 1 meter on each side?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thanks. Questions, comments from members of council? Maybe I asked too many. Deputy Mayor Sadler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Chris. Chris, just in regards to the contingency fund, I don't have any issue with the 15%. I think it's probably good to look at what's going on in our global market and to plan for that. And we've discussed contingency funds with a number of our projects before, and I'm just wondering what the path forward looks like. Are we going to get a report that states basically what the contingency was spent on at the end of the project? How is that going to be provided to us so that we have a clear understanding of what those contingency costs are? Please, thank you.
Through the chair to Deputy Mayor Sabourin, that's not a problem at all. I can provide a end of project report with a breakdown of any and all contingencies that were spent on the project. The only item right now that I have that we've discussed at the project kickoff meeting was to add some asphalt under the paved shoulders for a second lift at all the curves in the road. The intention behind that is the weight of the truck traffic at the corners. Applying the second lift of asphalt underneath the paved shoulders would provide a little bit more stability for the road. It's a small item. I don't think it will impact contingency too much. That's the only item right now that we have on the list. The extension of the multi-use pathway was a provisional item within the contract, so that price is covered within the bid that we have here. But yes, Deputy Mayor Sabourin, not a problem. I'd actually be really happy to provide council with that breakdown post-construction.
Thanks, Chris.
Further questions or comments? Okay, then I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Roots, that council approves the award of tender PW-06-2025 rehabilitation of Portage Road Phase 3 to the lowest bidder being GP Splinter Forest Products Limited in the amount of $1,579,200, and that council approves an additional $170,000 for design, construction phase services and post-construction phase services, and that council approves a 15% contingency in the amount of $236,880 for a total project cost of $1,986,080 excluding HST. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Just one other question about that one. GP Splinter, is that their first major road project for us here in Petawawa?
Yes, that's correct. It's the first capital road project that they've bid on successfully, to my knowledge.
Do they have a track record in other municipalities, or is this their first foray into the road works?
Well, what I would say to that is it's their first foray into a large capital project, but my experience in working with GP Splinter Forest Products over the last 15 plus years, they are a fantastic company. So I have no concerns. The paving works, they don't own an asphalt plant, so obviously the paving works would be subcontracted, but as far as their capabilities to build the road, I have no concerns.
Okay, right on, thanks. Next, we have PW-12-2026, tender PW-08-2026, wastewater pollution control plant boiler replacement. Chris.
Thank you, Mayor Service. All right, so for this tender, staff are recommending that council cancels tender PW-08-2026 for the boiler replacement at the wastewater pollution control plant. The tender was prepared and advertised on our town's social media platforms and website. 5 firms requested tender packages, with 2 firms attending the mandatory site meeting and 1 firm submitting a complete tender package on the closing date of April 8th, 2026 at 10 a.m. The bid is before you at $1,340,000. So the bid was 37% over our budget, and that's the reason why staff are recommending that we cancel this contract. There was also some discrepancies in scheduling. So at this time, staff feel it's best to not award this contract. and I'm happy to take questions.
Questions, comments from members of council? Councilor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Chris, what's your game plan then? So want you to kind of rerun this in another few more months, or what are you thinking here? Like what's the severity down there with those boilers? It's pretty serious, I take it then?
So through the chair to Councilor Roots, in consultations with Colin, CAO, we are working on a plan B, and I'll bring that information in April or in May rather, when I present my next monthly staff report. The boilers, you are correct. It's a concern. We need to get them changed because we need the boilers to be able to run off natural gas, but also off of biogas in conjunction with the net zero project. But in my consultations with JP2G, I think we have a good game plan to deal with this, and I'll bring that information shortly to council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chris.
Further questions or comments? Okay, if you're comfortable, I need a motion. Moved by Councilor Root, seconded by Councilor Donovan, that council cancels tender PW-08-2026 wastewater pollution control plant boiler replacement. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Chris. Next, we have PW-13-2026 off-road vehicle bylaw 1597/23. Phase 3 review and off-road motorcycles, potential phase 4. And we're teaming up on this one, Chris and Don.
Yes. Yes, thank you. So last year I said it was going to be my last public works report, but I'm back. Public works report with Chris. So at our March 16th meeting, we received a presentation and council directed staff to research off-road motorcycle usage on municipal roads and to return the report to council. So that is where we are this evening, but I also wanted to include the phase 3 review, as last March we did a phase 2 review. So as we know, phase 1 of our bylaw permitted access to off-road vehicles to roads west of Highway 17 and Black Bay Road, and provided access to core services at 5 designated intersections. Phase 2 established the Algonquin Trail off-road vehicle access for residents in 5 rural areas of Petawawa, where residents again were expected to take the shortest, most direct route to the trail and back home. Phase 3 expanded the Algonquin Trail access routes to include urban roads in Petawawa, so including curbs as well, again, without having to trailer their ORVs. And that phase also established several routes that are excluded from any ORV access. All phase 1, 2, and 3 only permitted off-road vehicles. That included like all-terrain vehicles, multi-purpose off-highway utility vehicles, and recreational off-highway vehicles, so such as side-by-sides and four-wheelers. For all 3 phases, extreme terrain vehicles such as Argo and off-road motorcycles were prohibited from operating on the designated routes. For our phase 3 review, again, the town's insurer does continue to recommend caution toward allowing recreational vehicles on highways in built-up urban areas due to the potential liability for the town. So public works staff did conduct road inspections during phase 1 and phase 2. The phase 3 road inspections will be conducted later this spring. And Public Works has advised that there are no road damage concerns due to ORV use so far. I provided an update on our collision statistics and calls for service from the OPP. So from 2015 to 2024, there were 9 collisions on our roads involving off-road vehicles. And in 2025, there were 0 collisions. So that was good to hear, considering that we did expand the number of roads that could be accessed. In Petawawa, we had just 12 calls for service relating to off-road vehicles. Of the 12 calls, 5 were directly involving dirt bikes or off-road motorcycles. And mostly those would be complaints of people calling saying there's dirt bikes on the road, which they were not permitted to be. There were 2 vehicle fires, 1 stolen ATV and 1 abandoned ATV, 6 traffic complaints, which is what I just spoke to, and trespass to property, and 1 additional call involving ORVs. In 2025, we did have 9 charges laid directly relating to off-road vehicles, and 6 of those 9 charges were issued on the Algonquin Trail on the Petawawa portion. And again, I'm assuming mostly for probably insurance and not registered vehicle. As we know, May 24, the County of Renfrew expanded allowing off-road motorcycles on the Algonquin Trail, which again is why we are here today. The request is off-road motorcycle users want to be treated the same as our other off-road vehicle users. As again, following the adoption of phase 3, staff received actually very few complaints. 1 complaint, again, previously was regarding dirt bikes operating on the roads with aftermarket exhausts. The OPP did introduce public media releases as well in Operation Decibel, which was also for cars with aftermarket exhausts as well. Staff received 1 complaint about an ORV operating on private property behind the residential area of Norman Street. Unfortunately, in that situation, there was a confrontation where the off-road vehicle operator did assault the resident, but the resident had chosen not to press charges. And staff received a call from a resident inquiring why they couldn't ride their dirt bike on the road. So a potential phase 4 of permitting off-road motorcycles. So the operation of off-road vehicles on highways, which is Ontario Regulation 31603, permits the operation of extreme terrain vehicles or off-road motorcycles on a municipal road only if a bylaw made by the council of the municipality specifically permits the operation of that particular class of vehicle on the highway or part of the highway. This regulation was amended in 2020 to permit that ability for council to include those 2 other types of off-road vehicles. You'll note a lot of municipalities adopted their bylaws prior to 2020, which is why off-road motorcycles and extreme terrain were not included in their municipal bylaws. So off-road motorcycles must comply by having a headlight and rear brake lights, but only if they're operating 1/2 hour before sunset or 1/2 hour after sunrise. So if they are operating during daylight hours with good visibility, they are not required to have a headlight. They cannot have a passenger on the off-road motorcycle. Again, they must comply with the speed limits that we have already established for off-road vehicles. So 20 if the speed limit is not greater than 50, and 50 kilometers per hour if the established speed limit for vehicles is greater than 50. Again, they must follow the same rules of the road as other off-road vehicles, which is section 24 of the regulation. Must have valid insurance and be licensed under section 5 of the Off-Road Vehicles Act. So meaning they would need to have a green license plate. If the type of vehicle they drive cannot be licensed to have a green license plate, it cannot be operated on a municipal road, should council approve that. As part of the county's change to the Algonquin Trail, there are types of motorcycles that are deemed roadworthy that do have our blue motorcycle license plate, but they're on-road, off-road vehicles, so they are permitted as well on the Algonquin Trail. They must have a valid driver's license, so a minimum of an M2, so operators with minimum age of 16 to be operating, and they must wear a helmet. I did not delve into the extreme terrain vehicles as our request was only for off-road motorcycles. So following our direction from the March 16th meeting, I did conduct an email survey of municipal clerks in Ontario, asking those municipalities that had adopted bylaws to permit the operation of off-road vehicles on their municipal roads. Many of them permitted also the operation of off-road motorcycles and or extreme terrain vehicles. And if they would share any pros or cons, they had to share. I was actually disappointed with my response. I only received responses from 28 municipalities, but I know everyone else is gearing up for a municipal election as well. So off-road motorcycles may not have been on their radar. So of those responses, 5 permit the operation of off-road motorcycles and extreme terrain vehicles, along with the other off-road vehicles that the town already permits. I did identify an additional municipality today, so there's actually 6. The other one is the township of Springwater, the township of Havelock, Belmont, Methuen, town of Hearst, town of Petawawa, township of Severn, and township of South Algonquin. Again, most of these municipalities are rural. I did have one staff member who suggested they would not recommend allowing off-road motorcycles as they had been hit themselves by somebody on an off-road motorcycle while they were attempting to stop them. So this was a bylaw officer. Another municipality says the volume of off-road motorcycle use is much lower than other ORVs. Another municipality said they've received a few complaints about noise and speed, but no major issues have occurred, and that their council approved the use as it benefits the businesses and residents alike when using the trails. Another municipality said using these types of ORVs is expected as part of the ruralness of our community. And another municipality says they have not had any known issues, and they have innumerable trails in the area. They're located near Algonquin Park, and their local businesses also benefit from the tourism. As part of the presentation that we received on March 16th, the presenter indicated that a number of municipalities permitted it that did not provide a list within their presentation. The presenter was asked if she could identify any so that I could narrow my research and contact these municipalities specifically. The township of Essa, again, according to their website, as I did not get a response from their municipal staff, they said that dirt bikes bearing a green and white license plate are not permitted on any roadways. Township of Clearview, I confirmed with their clerk's department, they do not permit off-road motorcycles. Wasaga Beach, again from their website, does not permit off-road motorcycles. South Algonquin does allow, as we spoke about previously. The municipality of North Perth, where Listowel is located, does not allow the operation, and that was confirmed with their clerk's department. And municipality of Kincardine does not allow the operation of off-road motorcycles. Again, that was from their website, as I did not get a response from their municipal staff. Locally, so these are comments from municipalities that do not permit off-road motorcycles. Locally, Laurentian Hills did not amend their bylaw in 2020 to allow the operation of off-road motorcycles. The same with the town of Petawawa. They did not amend their bylaw. Terrace Bay had safety concerns from the public, and noise and destruction of property were also identified as problems as to why they did not amend their bylaw to include the new options. So now we come to options for consideration for council. Should council wish to allow the option of, the operation of off-road motorcycles on municipal roads, the staff can amend the bylaw accordingly. We also want to know, do you want to include extreme terrain vehicles or not? We have to speak to what we are allowing on our roads in our municipal bylaw. If council does amend the bylaw to permit the operation of off-road motorcycles, we would recommend that they basically get the same permissions as our current off-road vehicle users, as it would be very difficult to do a phased-in approach when all these other vehicles are using the full list of Algonquin Trail designated routes. And then council, as we had done in our previous phases, that you may wish to allow for public consultation prior to making any decisions, whether to proceed with phase 4 to allow the operation of off-road motorcycles and or extreme terrain vehicles. I'm open for questions.
Well, Don, thank you very much. You obviously put a lot of work and research into this. So that it's great to have all of that background information to help us make our decision. Just one point for clarification, maybe to help council guide their questions. When we did the public survey for off-road vehicles in the town of Petawawa, how many responses did we get? Do you remember approximately?
I really, in all honesty, I'm sorry, I do not remember. I thought the last one we did was high. I thought it was over 400, but I don't have the exact number.
I thought I remember there being a lot of public engagement. I'm just wondering, if we went back out, if we would get the same level again. Okay, I'll open it up to members of council for questions. Councillor Kerman.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I think if we opened it up, to surveys, probably wouldn't get very much because there's just that many fewer riders than there are EDV side-by-side type people. I'd be totally in favor of supporting a phase 4 to allow people on off-road motorcycles to get to the trails or get wherever they have to go. As far as the extreme terrain vehicles, they're a separate category of their own sort of thing. Like, if you had one of those, it's not like you'd be joining a group of other people on side-by-sides to go on a day tour or something. Those machines typically do 30 kilometers an hour tops. And although they can go pretty much anywhere, you wouldn't get in one of those and head off on an 8-hour journey. There's absolutely zero suspension. They are not comfortable to ride in. They're very special purpose machines. There's people who use them, buy them for a specific reason. And I don't think even if we opened it up to them, I doubt you very seldom see any on the roads. So I don't think we even have to include them. But certainly I'd be in favor of the off-road motorcycles.
Councillor Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Don, for the great report. I would support the off-road motorcycles. I already do see them on the trail, so I'd like to have the compliance and governance on them, so everyone's abiding by the rules anyway. And again, it's great for business and creating recreational opportunities for tourism and our own residents, and safety as well. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Sandberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm in favor of amending this bylaw to include off-road motorcycles only and not the extreme terrain vehicles, and applying the same conditions as we currently apply to the ORVs. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I agree. For one of the main reasons is creating that consistency between those blue-plated dual sport two-wheeled motorcycles and dirt bikes. It's a very similar machine. It's creating that consistency. But I really want to thank all the public works for all of the work they did in phase 1, 2, and 3, all the road inspections, all the reports, and definitely I think we can appreciate what we were given by the surveys, where dirt bikes came up a lot actually in the surveys. So the concerns people have are about enforcement, but I've been hearing lately that the OPP have really made it the year of the ticket, like they promised to, and they're out on the Algonquin Trail even following up with people, and people are learning for the first time that they do need to be a member of a club to be on the trail, for example. So I think we're seeing all those pieces come together, the due diligence for the road, the enforcement from our OPP, and then our community reaching out to us and saying, please make this successful, please make this something we can do. And then for myself, I think about the businesses who are in our community and are going to be opened up now to all of our neighbors who can just zip up to Petawawa on the trail. So I'm very much in favor of this. I think it's great that we've had this brought forward by the community, and I think it's perfectly reasonable to respond by opening it up. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Okay, so it sounds like we have the majority feeling that the off-road motorcycles should be allowed, but the extreme vehicles should not be a part of the equation. I guess consistency is again the key word here. If we're letting all of these other users with their off-road vehicles on, why should we not let the motorcycles? The fact that Renfrew County has already endorsed having them on the Algonquin Trail means that now we're giving them a means to get to the trail without having to trailer their vehicle. I will add, and I have seen the OPP already out on the Algonquin Trail, even though it doesn't open until May 1st, but that's because there are some users on the Algonquin Trail already, and perhaps that's why the OPP are out there. As someone who uses the trail probably just about every day, whether I'm biking or running, I will just throw this bit of caution out there. It is, in terms of speeding, it is the motorcycles that are the primary culprits, I'll say, as opposed to the side-by-sides or the ATVs. And in terms of damage to the trail, you can see where the dirt bikes do the donuts and the 360s and dig deep grooves into the trail. So I'm hoping now that we're regulating more and regulating the access more and opening up the rules to allow them on, perhaps that will give them some impetus to treat the trails with a little more respect, I guess. Okay, so I guess what we're looking at is the resolution that says, yeah, the first one. I'll read it and then I won't read it again. That council directs staff to communicate with, no, that's the serving one. The council authorizes the operation of off-road motorcycles on municipal roads under the same rules as all terrain vehicles, multi-purpose off-highway utility vehicles, and recreational off-highway vehicles, and that bylaw 1597/23 be amended to implement this change. So you'll notice that that one doesn't include extreme terrain vehicles. I need a mover. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody. I call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you again, Don. It'll be interesting to see how that one rolls out this spring and summer. Okay, now we're going to go to councillor reports. Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report.
Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Nothing to report this evening.
Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, residents. On April 16th, I participated in part of the handover from our CEO of the library, our outgoing CEO, to our acting CEO, Lynn Tweedy. So a big thank you to her for taking on that role. And then today, actually on April 20th, I participated in a planning meeting for Red Trust Day and Moose Hide Campaign Day. So a quick reminder, Red Trust Day is May 5th. It's on the Day of Action on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. And May 14th is Moose Hide Campaign Day, which also tries to raise awareness and focus to the issue of Indigenous women being disproportionately affected by gender-based violence. So if you're out on May 5th or May 14th, please join us in our walk. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. April 14th, I chaired a festival hall meeting. Discussions at this session was Q1 financials and events and programming. We have received a grant for 2 summer students. So with this opportunity, we will be creating more summer youth opportunities. We had an update on the operations of our new lights from our facility technicians. and everything is working really good with those new lights, and we're very happy with them. It's the TV monitor install that I briefed council and yourself on. We're just a little delayed because of another idea. We're going to group our technology all together. We're going to be able to live stream events and record live performances and shows right to our local community Cogeco TV for the viewers at home to watch at home or on their devices. So this is an amazing upgrade for our facility and offers many favorable opportunities. And with that, of course, there's going to be a sponsorship program as well, as we'll be able to advertise on that as well. And something that I'm really happy and proud about is that Festival Hall is doing its first live theater production with volunteers and youth from entire local communities. It's called The True Tale of Robin Hood. And this show will be ready by the end of June. So, and this is very good for our young people, and this is what the theater is really meant to be for our local area at large. Thursday, April 16th, I attended an airport commission meeting, and topics there were financial facility updates, a seasonal review of maintenance. It was a big winter. There was lots of cleaning going on the runway and safety practices being implemented, so all good. And then a marketing discussions. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. On April the 8th, I was at a county council meeting, which I'll report on later on this month. On April 9th, the CAO and I met with Mark Quinlan, who's the Assistant Deputy Minister of Real Property Services with Public Services Procurement Canada. These are the individuals that manage PIL, or they call it PIL, for the entire country, not just for D&D, but for all federal entities. And we made our presentation, as we always do, asking why they're still enjoying the 30% discount and whether there would be a check forthcoming. The answer was no. But it was a good discussion, and they felt our pain, I guess is the best way to put it. And we were provided with several contacts in terms of potential grant and other funding opportunities at the federal level. So CAO and I are following up on those, and we'll see where that takes us. Also on the 9th, we met with Garrison and Petawawa to discuss the new security measures that have taken place on the garrison with the passes that hang from mirrors. And if you're not a working member of the garrison, you have to stop, show your ID, and go into the building and get a pass. The early reports are that the lineups are not that substantially greater, really, even at lunch hour. So in terms of that, I guess it's running pretty smoothly. Unlike before where they used to stop everybody, now they're just noticing the pass and waving everybody through. And that's without the back Brindle gate being open yet. So I guess it seems promising. Now there are about 1,200 members over in Latvia right now, and when they return home, that could be a difference, but everybody's monitoring the situation, and for now it hasn't caused too much of a disruption, which is good. On the 16th, I had a meeting with the Petawawa Centennial Family Health Center to discuss the future of that facility. On the 16th, we met with David Thompson, who's the Director General of Portfolio Requirements for D&D Infrastructure and Environment. This is the entity, and this is the individual who makes all the decisions in terms of what gets built around D&D, on D&D facilities and around D&D facilities for the entire country. So we had a really, really good discussion with this individual about Petawawa and the issues that we're facing and the issues we will face in the future once the extra 1,000 housing units are here and once all the additional troops and all the additional infrastructure that's being built here. They are putting together, I guess we'll call it a task force or a team, and they're going to bring that team physically to the town of Petawawa in the next month or so. So that'll give us a chance to have them on the ground here and show them around, meet with us and the garrison to discuss all of the possible issues that we'll face with all of this expansion. So it's great to finally have somebody listen and have somebody come here and deal with our concerns, and especially since it's somebody that can deal with the concerns and help us solve those issues. This morning, we had an emergency management team meeting about the flooding of the Petawawa River and the Ottawa River. And the CAO also had a follow-up meeting at 1 with the overarching group. And perhaps we'll give you a chance in a second there to let them know what happened at the 1 o'clock meeting. But at our meeting, we discussed the town's response and what we're doing to help mitigate. We can't stop the water, but help mitigate the concerns of our residents and do what we can to assist them in their mitigation efforts. So we have put out 5 now sandbagging stations, 1 at Black Bay, 1 down at the bottom of Radke and River Road, 1 at McGregor Bay Trail, 1 at Melody Trail. I'm missing one? 4, okay. So we just replenished those sand piles this morning and put out what we had left of sandbags and purchased more sandbags today in case the river levels rise even further. We do have our fire department, public works department making daily rounds at all of the affected areas. And I've been to all the sandbagging stations and to several residents, and they really appreciate the efforts of our fire department and our public works staff in helping them in whatever way they can. So for now, it hasn't reached 2019 levels. I don't even think it's reached 2023 levels. So we're hoping that perhaps, things might not get as bad, but we are still early in the whole process. As you're aware, 2019, the worst of it was, the second week of May or so. And also this morning, I had the first meeting of a newly formed committee. It was called the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities Defense Task Force. So they put together 18 municipalities that have DND garrison establishments. So there was probably over 30 people on the Zoom meeting. All representatives from the municipalities, mayors, councillors, CAOs of all of the municipalities that have garrisons. So there were people on there from Inuvik, Esquelmet, Gander, Quebec City, Edmonton, Winnipeg, everywhere across the country. And everybody had a few minutes to tell how being next to a garrison affects them in the various ways. And we all had similar concerns. Roads, transportation, water, wastewater, daycare, healthcare, recreation. And it was interesting to hear all of the different initiatives that are going on all across the country in these communities. And already a lot of these communities were able to say how the increase in defense spending is affecting their communities. And for some, it's drastic. Even for some of the ones that are smaller than us. It was amazing the development that's going to take place in their communities. So that was the first of many meetings. We're going to meet, it sounded like, in the next couple of weeks, just to follow up on what everybody has spoken about and allow FCM to get some answers and to get some solutions for all of the various municipalities, and then take everything we have said and send it up to the federal government. So it's great to have 18 municipalities together, and it's great to have FCM working on our behalf to advocate at the federal level to see what we can get done. And then CAO, you want a chance to talk about the 1 p.m. flood meeting?
Sure, thank you, Mayor Service. Through the council, we did have a follow-up meeting with the Frechette group, led by the M&R this afternoon at 1 o'clock. And I will state that call basically put a little bit more at ease in my mind of where we're going to be with the upcoming flood. The hope is that the Petawawa River has peaked or will peak in the next day to 2 days. So by Wednesday, we should see hopefully water levels, if all, of course, Mother Nature plays a factor in that, but if Mother Nature behaves herself, we should see the peaks be reached. In terms of future or second runoff or increase from the northern runoff from the snowmelt, the reservoirs that are in the Temiskaming area have all capacity still to take on more water. And the hope is by the time they take on that water and then we release that our water levels will have already subsided here. So the hope is that unless we get a lot of rain coming in the next couple days or next week or so, the worst should be behind us. At least that was the feeling from the call today. But again, you always have to be cautious. So every day we're going to continue with the meetings with our own group here to check on the situation. And we're looking to coordinate at the county level, our own in-house group, just to make sure that all the needs with our neighboring municipalities are also being met. So there will be more to come, and there will be still be some sandbags to be bagged in the next couple of days, but hope is that things will get better shortly.
Okay, we have nothing for closed. I need a motion for confirming bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that bylaw 1830/26 be read a first, second, third time and passed. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1830/26, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on April 20th, 2026. Be read first, second, and third time and passed. This constitutes first, second, and third reading short of bylaw 1830/26, this 20th day of April 2026.
I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the meeting adjourn to the call of the mayor. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.